what have I learned about the Camp Chef? Well, first of all, obviously, it's far hotter over here on this portion of the griddle. You just keep moving things around though. This bacon started over here, moved over here, and it works great. A couple of things that you absolutely need. One, a bacon press. Get yourself a bacon press if you want evenly cooked, nice bacon. Love that bacon press. Highly recommended. The other thing is this Blackstone dome cover. Just sits on there like that when you're cooking potatoes or whatever. Absolute necessity. Another huge thing is a little heat gun. This particular one is self-wired. It's quick, easy, on and off. Just point it, make the little dots hit the griddle, and you can see. So right now we're cooking a little low. It's at 320, and it could be cooking a lot faster. This thing, wonderful as a warming oven. You can just throw a paper plate in there, and then as the food gets done, pull it off, throw it in there. When you're done, it will still be warm, and the world will be happy. You can't really see it from the angle of that, but right there, I put a little dot above on the back plate, and then marked my knob where about 375 is. And I'm finding that if you roll the heat up a little bit when you put food on and turn the heat down a little bit, and I'm talking about a little bit, when you pull food off, it works great. Barbecue, normally I cook on it halfway between medium and low, about right there. And this barbecue is awesome for camping situations. Is it a great backyard barbecue? Well, right there I have a Green Mountain Grill smoker. Right there I have a Weber barbecue. They're better, but for camping, for something mobile, this thing is awesome. It's absolutely hotter back here. It's much cooler down here, so it's a little hard to, if you want a nice steak or something like that, it's a little hard to balance temperatures, but it's good stuff. Absolutely good stuff. Let it get hot. Turn the heat on, give it 10 minutes. This grate is heavy and thick. Let that whole grate get hot evenly, and your cooking will be a lot better. These tabs, they will catch your dogs and mess them up, but they're important. Don't take them off, because that's what holds your grill. That's what holds your grill in place when you close this thing down and lock it down to move it. So leave the tabs. I've been cooking since January, several times a week, and I've run about a bottle and a half of propane through it at this point. I don't think you can see it, but this grease catcher, the bracket on the grease catcher, doesn't quite fit down flush. And that is a little bothersome, because it does make your griddle sit differently, so you'll have to allow for that. But interestingly, this is the package, and if you look right down there, you can actually see there's a gap on the bracket. So apparently it's designed that way, but it does get in the way of your griddles sitting all the way down like it did in the first place. So it's just something you'll have to allow for, but I think it'll be much more convenient than that can hanger. Shelves, absolutely must have. These shelves are great. The shelf kit does come with these handles that are not going to be on your grill, and they just bolt on, and that's really what gives the shelf its stability. One other accessory that I love is these magnetic lights. They're just a little LED light, but they're magnetic, so I can stick them right here, for example, and point them down into the barbecue box if I'm out here at night, and man, they make it nice. Same thing on the griddle, you can use them the same way. Magnetic lights, must have. The 36-inch Blackstone grill cover, there's a shot of it. The 36-inch Blackstone grill cover will fit perfectly. It's a nice cover. It's reinforced on all the corners where you'd expect sharp angles to be. So that's kind of a nice feature in the wind, and it covers with the shelves folded out perfectly. Another accessory I'd recommend is this spatula. These are at Walmart and they're cheap, and they come in a 2-pack and they're fabulous. They're heavy and they're nice, and I definitely recommend them. All right, we're gonna put all the pancakes on. So let's see, I turn the heat up just a little bit, just a little past my mark, and that really seems to matter. And then I'll roll it back down just a little bit toward the end of the cook to keep things from getting too hot. But this seems to sit at that temperature with no food on the griddle. It seems to sit right at about 375. So I'm just gonna put that right in that gorgeous, messy grease. And now you'll really be able to see the difference in temperature across the griddle. 4 good-sized pancakes is about enough. So you see the pancakes cooking. This one's getting toward done. If you don't know, when the bubbles pop in the middle, your pancake's ready to flip. This one is much slower. You can see there's not really bubbles forming in the center yet, like that one. And this one's a little behind. So hot spot, sort of hot, much cooler, much cooler. It's kind of how it goes across. But you can easily move food around, and I love this griddle. If anything, if I was gonna, this barbecue box, if I was gonna use it at home, would probably go away in favor of the Weber that's parked over there. And I would get the 36-inch griddle because I love this thing. The best thing I've done so far was some Wagyu steaks that were absolutely amazing. I didn't want to barbecue them because I didn't want the drip and flare up and all that. So I put them in the smoker and brought them up to 103 degrees, which seems to be the perfect deal for me. And then finished them on this griddle, and best steak I've ever eaten by far in my life, but they're damn expensive, so you don't do it very often. Pancakes are cooking away. You can see that one almost got overdone, but it's actually perfect. And this one you can see is a little lighter. These aren't ready to flip yet. I'll show you this one now. Getting there, but it's much lighter. Not really bad though. As long as you take your time and let the grill heat back up before you start your next food, then it's gonna work fine. It was probably 30 seconds between flipping those two, which is nothing. You're gonna need more oil if you're gonna do a second round of pancakes. You could always just sneak the grease right out of here, like I've done in the past. Pour the bacon grease right back on. One thing I wanted to mention on this plate, my son has the model without the plate. The only really significant difference that I've noticed is on his without that plate, these knobs have a tendency to get pretty dang hot. So I don't know if that's just his. We're still experimenting with that. So when I'm ready to clean, I just grab my scraper and lean into it. I'm putting a lot of down pressure. It doesn't hurt the surface. I've done this every time I've used it. And the grill's still hot. It still sit to the same cooking temperature that I had it. Right now it's a cold morning, and that's nice. On a 100-degree day, your hand gets real hot in there real fast. So it might not be a bad idea to have a glove, just because you don't want to not get it clean. Get yourself a good pair of tongs with some high heat resistance, but what's most important is a sort of at least semi-flat front edge. If you use a rounded one, I found that it makes this much harder to grill. So when you stick your paper towels on there, and yes, this thing is hot. When you stick your paper towels on there, you can grind the paper towel into the grill surface a little better, and it seems to be much easier to clean. So that's about how far I usually take it. I have my little squirter bottle there ready, and I usually wait until it just starts to smoke, which doesn't take long, and then we'll clean it. Okay, so I've done it twice. It's really important, I think, seems to be, that you let it heat up, that you let it heat back up for, I don't know, a minute or two after you clean it off, because that water's going to cool it down pretty significantly. By the third cook, or by the third cleaning, it's cleaning up pretty quick. So we'll just dose this one last time. I like to use a lot of water. It's hot, it's not going to rust anything. You can see there's still a little bit of white crap flowing around in there. But there's not much coming up on the paper towel either. The nice thing about this last cleaning is now you got a fairly clean, super hot paper towel. So you can take advantage of that, clean off the whole rest of it while you're at it. Because the paper towel is where hot. And so you're going to take all that. See, I got more crap off the barbecue than I did off the griddle. And I'm going to call it a griddle. I'm going to call this thing a griddle. And you can just wipe off all your little pieces parts. Then, shut off the heat. Go eat some breakfast. So you want to know how the Camp Chef does in cold weather? Well, let's check some temperatures. The deck is cold. Let's check the gutter. Go in the shade so we get maximum effect. Oh, that's very cold. Let's see. It is cold. It is quite cold. And the Camp Chef griddle is set pretty much where I normally set it. So let's check the temps of the griddle. It's been on about 10 minutes. Still got the same hot spot. Cools off on the right. Cools off a little more on the bottom right corner. And is somewhere in the middle. And it's completely manageable. And it works great. The sausages are cooking away. In fact, they almost got away from me. I keep the barbecue shoved right up against the griddle. And that maintains temperature in the barbecue so that I can use it as a warming oven, and it's got plenty of heat coming out of there to keep the food warm. And that's the happiest accident ever. While we're on this subject, I've been fussing with these igniters since I got this thing. I think I finally cracked the code. Keep that wire so that it arcs across to this centerpiece right here, and it seems to work great. All you gotta do is turn on a little propane, light it right up. That seems to be the sweet spot. So she's cooking. So obviously it does cook faster in the top left corner, but you know, it's just not that big of a deal. I've been cooking on this thing for, I don't know, a year now, I guess. And the barbecue will not replace the Weber and the smoker, but it will this time of year. And for the fifth wheel, it's absolutely great. It's the best fifth wheel setup I've ever had, and I'm completely happy with it and would absolutely do it again. I was a little worried that the chocolate was going to stick, but it didn't. Cleaned up beautifully as it always does. And the final result is breakfast in the warming oven. You see the steam coming off. All I can say is, if you don't have one, get one.